What up, big dogs? I'm your host, Coach Craig, and this is Athletes Unleashed. On today's episode, my guest is a soccer standout for the Masters University. We discuss his incredible high school career and the building pressure to perform season after season, tuning out external criticism and judgment while setting extremely high standards for himself, and his decision to forego other college soccer avenues and commit to play for the Masters University and their head coach, who also happens to be his father. Please enjoy my conversation with Trent Rickard. Look at the dude he's talking to. All right.
I'm chilling. I'm just kidding.
All right. Trent, appreciate you coming in today, man. Love you. I'm happy to see you.
Love you too.
It's been a minute. So I wanted to talk to you today about a number of different things, but really some of your decisions with moving to college and a lot of your mentality in playing the game. So you're an incredible soccer player. I coached you in high school. You're a top flight club and high school player. You're named league MVP as a sophomore and then again as a junior and a senior, a feat that I don't think will be matched anytime soon. Thanks. And you're one of my favorite players that I've ever coached. Your work ethic is next to none. And you can be a bit of a headache at times, but your talent and ability and your leadership skills are what I hope to find in other players. So it was a pleasure to be your coach, and you're not moving too far, which is great for me.
That's nice.
You get to be a little bit involved where you are next, so that's a good thing. One of the things I'm interested about is in that run up. We'll talk about where you're going to college, but in the run up when you're in high school, there's a lot of expectations put on you. Maybe not as a sophomore. I think your sophomore season was a little bit of a surprise for everybody. Yeah. Maybe not a total surprise, but the fact that you were as dominant as you were.
For sure.
You're a striker. You score a lot of goals. You're a really good finisher. And I think people were kind of surprised. At the time, you were a bit smaller, and it was really your speed and your technical ability that took you above. So in that time, you went from kind of a smaller player as a sophomore, building, like getting physically much stronger and effectively evolving as a player. Did you feel that you had to evolve, or was that just kind of a natural thing for you? That's who you were trying to become?
I would say it's a mix of both. I feel like at first it was kind of just a natural thing. Like I just want every year like be better than last year. So sophomore year getting player of the year was like, how can I? Obviously, I would put pressure on myself to get it again, but that's just because I felt like the only way for me to get better was to get it again and do more. But so I think going into junior year is more natural, and then going into senior year was more. What was that half of the question? What was the other option?
if you were consciously like building your body and building your game differently as you were getting older.
So going into senior year, I feel like it was a little bit more like consciously, because junior year was a lot different than sophomore year. Like teams like Saugus, for example, would double team me, sometimes even triple team me, and like I feel like mentally it was more on the mental side, less of the physical side. Like how can I get ahead of the game mentally and like figure out how to outsmart them, figure out ways to get other people involved, even though the eyes are on me now, like stuff like that. And the physical stuff came just because like I enjoyed working hard, I enjoy working out, so it's like all that.
Yeah, you were naturally getting bigger and stronger too.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, obviously I would do it for soccer, but like I enjoyed it too. So it was half for fun. But I would say the mental part of it was probably, at least going into senior year, the biggest thing that I was really focusing on, and that's what I'm still trying to lock in today.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what I realized a lot this year. Is just like if you can have a better mentality than everyone, that gets you so far. Like your mentality is huge.
Right. So as a sophomore, were you expecting to have the season that you had?
I actually went in pretty confident because it was the COVID year, and that whole year I'd practiced a ton with my dad's college team, and they were at the time way bigger than me, way stronger than me, and like most of them were just better. But like the more I played with them, the more I realized like, dang, I can kind of hang with these guys. So it was like going from playing with them, feeling like confident at practices with guys that were, some of them were 8 years older than me, and then dropping to my age, I was like, I wouldn't say I had a cocky mentality going into it, but I just felt like if I could handle that, I should have no problem here. So I have no reason to be like nervous or anxious about anything. Like just go out and do what you do.
So sophomore year, you're coming with a lot of confidence. You just mentioned you're not nervous, you're not anxious. Then you perform really well. You get named player of the year, which I think it was not surprising, but I think a lot of people, it was a little unexpected, especially for other teams in the league, that you were as good as you were. I think, especially with COVID happening, no one knows the work that you're putting in. Nobody gets to see it. And so you hit the league like a hurricane a little bit. So in the junior year, right, so you come back, you're playing club. You mentioned your dad is a coach of an NAIA college team locally in Santa Clarita. And so you're playing with them all the time. You're playing club. You come back for your junior year. Is the mentality going into that year different? Like, I know you said that people were going to double team you and triple team you. Were you aware that when the season started that that's how it was going to be?
I wasn't aware of that side of it. I think junior year I didn't do a great job of kind of handling other people's pressure and opinions. Like, that going into that year, I thought I need to get player of the year again, but not because I wanted to for me, obviously, but I thought, like, since I got a sophomore year, if I don't get it again, everyone's going to be like, dang, he's like, it was a fluke, blah,
He's
blah,
regressed,
blah. So I was thinking about what other people were thinking, which, especially as an athlete, you should never really think like that. So I honestly think my junior year was my worst year, partially because of that. But I think senior year definitely is when it flipped to I was just trying to think, like, I don't give a crap about what people think. Like, I'm not trying to be, like, selfish, but, like, if I have a bad game, I'm mad enough at myself. I don't care if you think, like,
you're your biggest critic.
It's like, great. Like, I know I did bad. Like, I'll put in the work to try to get better. So I think that was the biggest switch in junior year. It was just like, dang, I did bad. Everyone's going to be like, dang, you suck. But honestly, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, who cares?
Well, and you might have had that mindset, but you were still successful. Yeah. And I think a lot of that frustration comes from the understanding from everybody else that you are a threat now, and trying to building a game plan against you. I think your first year on varsity, like, you came up as a freshman in playoffs. Yeah. And I remember
I was like 100 pounds in.
Yeah, you were really little guy, and I remember the coach at the time turns to me on the bench and he's like, "We're gonna put Trent in," and I was like, "It's a playoff game." I'm like, "You sure?" He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do it. Let's just see what the kids got." Yeah. And I don't know if you came in and scored in that game.
That was Gustavo.
Yeah.
Fun fact: first play ever in a high school game. It was a goal kick. The ball was in there. I was running back to head it, and I tripped and ate crap. So that was the start of my varsity high school.
So look, you can start at the bottom and work your way up. So, but it was funny. You went in and you made it. You really were an impact player as a small. I think people were very surprised because of your stature. You were much smaller at that point, and you came in and made an impact right away. So when you come back for sophomore and then junior season, the expectations are raised. You're a team leader now. I think sophomore year, it was kind of like you were kind of a secret weapon a little bit. Everyone expected other players on our team to have more of an impact or what have you. Kind of flew under the radar for a while, and then people realized, like, oh, this guy's the target that they're going to. And we had a great team.
Yeah, we did. That was a sick.
So it was a really talented team, and you got to kind of operate without all the pressure. So you come back junior season, you're in more of a leadership role. Everyone knows who you are. They know what to expect. And the pressure you said other people are putting on you, but I know that you are a person who puts a substantial amount of pressure on yourself, both in the game and outside of the game.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time when I've coached you on the sidelines asking you to just chill out and just relax and play your game. But I know there are times where you get frustrated, and I know sometimes it's because the team can't get you the ball in the right places. Or you
can't finish something.
Yeah, and I think that's you holding yourself to an extremely high standard. Your expectation is that you finish every opportunity that you have, and that's great, but perfection is not possible. So how do you deal? I mean, I know that it was better moving into senior year. You still have those things where you're hypercritical of yourself. You have all these high expectations of yourself. But how do you manage, maybe not the pressure that other people are putting on you, but the pressure that you're putting on yourself?
I think I've always looked at that as, like, if I put more pressure on myself than other people put on me, then I'll worry more about that than what other people think. So that's kind of my way of dealing with other people's opinions. And I feel like also that's just what drives me to just try to be the best I can all the time. Like, if I set expectations that are stupid high, where people are like, there's no way. Like, for example, going to college, like, I'm going to go trying to get freshman of the year or something, or player of the year at some point. Like, that's just what, like, I'm not going to make that my life goal, but that's what my expectation's going to be.
Sure.
Because if you aim that high, then even if you're short, like you're still going to be
succeeding.
pretty good. So it's like
That's a
I
good.
feel like those are ways I never want to like not sell myself short, because like there are times where I haven't been very confident in myself at all. But I feel like putting a lot of pressure on yourself can help you be more confident. Honestly, some people can crumble under it. But
Yeah.
there's different ways of dealing. I feel like I definitely have had times where I haven't dealt with it well, but I think I'm starting to handle it a little bit better. I still have a lot of room for improvement, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
That's how I've always been.
I think it's an interesting perspective. I think a lot of people are reluctant to set goals that are really, really high because they don't want to fall short because they'll look at it as a failure.
Yeah. I think
but
part of it's just
your
like,
mindset is totally opposite.
Yeah.
You set it high so that even if you fall short, you still succeed.
Yeah, exactly. I think part of it's just like being extremely competitive sometimes to even too far of an extent. Like
I can speak to that.
like I just want to be the best. I don't know. Like, so why not put pressure on yourself? Because if it helps you get better, I don't know. Sometimes it's bad, but you've seen firsthand.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think in my experience with you, like your competitiveness is real. Like you want to win so bad, and you want to. It's funny, playing a team sport and understanding that you're only as good as the players around you, and you can only do so much for them. But you also feel the burden of trying to carry so much for the team. And I feel like there were definitely moments for me as a coach where I'm looking at you and be like, you got to stop trying to do so much and either combine with your teammates or just the amount of pressure that you're stacking up on yourself in games it's like you can feel it from the sideline. Like I can see you get angry and I can see you lash out on the field. You're someone who is known to a bit of a hothead who's not unwilling to commit fouls. But there are a lot of times where you do it in a smart way. But it's really interesting, your game, because sometimes you'll score right away. And then you talk about how that's a hindrance because it removes some of the fire. Because you're like, I already got my job done.
Yeah, which I need to fix that.
But I think that's really important, is that you're aware of it at least. For me, I always tell people that if you're making mistakes or you need to make adjustments, awareness is the first step. If you don't know you're doing something, you're not really going to be able to fix it. So you being aware of the fact that like sometimes when you are successful early in a game, you tend to coast a little bit because you're like, I did everybody else got to work now. You know what I mean? And I think that's a mindset of a young person too. That's someone who's still in the process of learning. But the fact that you're aware you do it, and that wasn't something that I brought up to you. That was something you said to me. You're like, I don't always like to score early in the games. I mean, obviously you want to. But you know how it affects your mentality, and you know if you haven't gotten yours by the end of the game, like you go into another level where you're working insanely hard, but sometimes that works against you because you're pushing so hard. Maybe we're missing opportunities or we're getting frustrated or whatever it might be. I don't know if you like that mindset. Obviously, it's something that you want to work on. How do you think that you can shift it so that when you find success early, you're not getting in a place of complacency?
I get you. I think just staying hungry. I feel like having the mind. I need to be not more selfish. I think part of it too is like I'll score. Like there's one game where I scored 2 like first half or something, and like half my mind's like, okay, I kind of want to get a hat trick, and then half my mind's like, I kind of want to get other people to score, get some assists. But all that's kind of like you're thinking too much about the independent side of it. So like at the end of the day, I just need to think about winning the game. That's all that matters. And if you're already winning, then I want to crush them. That should be my mindset. So just I feel like that's a good way to stay hungry rather than like, okay, I got 2, now I need to get assists, or I got 2, now I need to get 3. Like, obviously, you should think that, but what's more important is, like, if I got 2, but we're down 5-2,
it
doesn't matter. But if I have 2 and we're up 2-0, like, it's completely different. So I think that thinking about the game is way more important because,
I think that's a great mindset because I think there are a lot of players who, in your shoes, if you have that really high-level ability but you're playing on a bad team, you might be like, look, I scored my hat trick, we lost 6-3, but I got mine.
Exactly.
And you were never a person who was satisfied with that. Like I can remember you playing really excellent games and us coming out with a draw or a loss, and you're just like, that's unacceptable. Like I have to be. I don't care that I scored 3 or 4 goals. Like I have to be better. I have to contribute. And you talked about
Like the Sagas game.
Yeah. You talked about either, I got to go out and score another goal or I got to incorporate my teammates. But I think taking a step back and realizing that mindset is just, instead of trying to figure out what you can do as an individual, just understanding like your mindset is just you want to help the team win, whether that be via scoring or getting assists or whatever. So I think kind of zooming out a little bit, instead of being like, I have to figure out exactly what I have to do, just contribute where you can.
Yeah.
If the opportunity comes for you to score, you take it. If the opportunity comes for you to assist, you take it. And I think one of the things that really separates a lot of people who are on your level with you is your willingness to defend. You're somebody who expends a ton of energy on offense, and so I think a lot of the teams that you play for will let you know, hey, you can rest. We'd rather you rest a little bit on defense so you can utilize all of that energy going forward towards the goal. But you're also a person who, when the game calls for it, you're in the fray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that speaks to who you are as a player. And I think it's a good, like, maybe not a piece of advice, but a good thing to model your game after is to understand if you're trying to be successful at the next level and if you're trying to get noticed, obviously goals get you noticed. Spectacular plays get you noticed. But work ethic on the field and a willingness to sacrifice for your team is something that you can't really coach.
That's true.
Like, you either got it or you don't.
That's true.
And I know, like, not to say that I wouldn't say that you're a dime a dozen player. You're definitely not. But I think when people zoom out and they look at collegiate soccer or professional soccer, there are guys who can score everywhere.
Yeah.
There are guys, you want a guy who can fit into your college program and score goals. He's out there. But the question is does he have the character for your program?
Yeah.
Does he have the work ethic? Does he understand what it takes to be a good teammate? And I think that is one of the things that sets you apart as a player. I think you hold your teammates to a very high standard.
Yeah,
you have a lot of expectations, and that comes out sometimes as frustration or anger.
Yeah.
But your team lets you do it because they respect you so much, and they know what you're capable of, and they're like, Trent is upset with me because I can't do my job to enable him to do his.
Yeah.
Me being unable to handle my business is preventing him from helping us as a team. And I think that's a difficult place to walk for you because you have to not only demand so much from your teammates and hold them accountable, but I think it's easier because the person you hold most accountable is yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you deal with relationships. Like you've been in a leadership role, and I think will continue to be as you play in college. How do you deal with managing the relationships of your teammates when you not only hold yourself to an extremely high standard, but you're doing it for them as well?
I think, like you said, I do hold teammates to a very high standard, but I feel like I've gotten a little better at like knowing what people are capable of and what they're not capable of, and just like, I don't know, knowing when, like, who to push and who to kind of just be nice to. Like, you kind of have to read your teammates, and I feel like a lot of that is just relational, especially outside of soccer. Like, the closer you are with your team, the better in every way. Like, you have more, whatever the word is, freaking cohesive.
Cohesion,
yeah, chemistry. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, big English guy. You have that, and like I said, like there's some guys where, like I have a teammate, Wolfie, for example. Love the kid, love him so much, and he's the kind of guy where like, if he always works hard, but let's just say he wasn't one game, and I got on his case and was like, look, I need you right now. Like, you're playing like a pansy. Like, I need you to show up. He would respond so well, and like, he's the kind of guy that would die for me on the field. So I know that like, I can be hard on him if I need to, and he'll take it so well and be like so easygoing. And then I have other teammates who I won't say because who are like, if you say that, they just shut down, and they'll be like, I'm right, like, screw you, I'm gonna do what I want. And it's like, all right. And then that gets me more frustrated. It's like, I'm just trying to help you out, man. Like, so I think I mean, if you think about it, it's my fault in the first place. Like, I kind of pushed him the wrong way. Like, instead, knowing I should know that guy's the kind of guy where I need to encourage when he does something good. And I feel like the more I encourage, then I can say something like, okay, fix this, because he'll respond better to that, because he's like, he thinks I'm genuinely trying to help him, because other guys...
it's not always what you say, it's how you say it to certain people.
So I think just reading, like, who's who, how to talk to different people, and, I mean, I think it's good to hold them to a high standard, because, I mean, you don't want to sell anyone short, and, like, I don't know, I feel like that's how... It's a team sport. Like, you want to be the best team. So you have to have the best teammates. So you have to convince yourself you have the best teammates. It's just, I don't know. I think it all comes back to mentality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stupid,
Absolutely. And I think it's funny you say you can, like I know Wolf, you can push a guy like Wolf really hard.
yeah.
And I think there's a mutual respect aspect
Yeah,
that if he
for
turned
sure.
to you on the field
Oh, 100%.
and said he needed more from you, you're not going to go back
Yeah.
at him and be like, that's part of
Yeah.
being a leader is understanding like, hey, I can take it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to dish it out, but I can take it as
I feel
well.
like another good example of that is like, you are great at this and Wolfie's great at this. Like, there's only a few people that can actually calm me down when I get mad. And like, there's a lot of people who, when I get yells, just say, hey, stop losing your head. Don't lose your head. Like, chill out. It's like, all right, I freaking know I'm losing my head. Like, I don't really need that. But you've done a great job of saying, like, we need you. And, like, you hype me up. And you're like, we need you on the field. You're a beast, blah, blah, blah. So then that kind of flips in my brain. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, I can't be stupid because of this. Not because, like, people just say, stop being stupid. It's like, okay, I understand being stupid. So I think.
But it's the same thing, though. That's reading people.
Yeah, for sure.
I was a goalkeeper. I read body language. I see also, and it's part of why I'm a good coach is because I know who I can push. I know who I need to support. I know in certain situations if I can press the button or if I need to ease off. And with you, it was always, you know, I do this with a lot of really, really top quality players. And I kind of do it with everybody. It's you got to give a little bit of a compliment, and then you got to give them what they really need to hear. And for you, it's simple. For me, like when we are playing and you're out there, we are much better with you on the field. And if you are inhibited in any way, meaning you have a yellow card or, you know, you're chirping at the ref and now he's looking at you and you're not going to get calls.
Yeah.
I want to remind you, like, hey, we need you at the top of your game, and the things you're doing right now are hindering you from doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm able to do it in like a hand motion or a simple couple words.
Yeah,
and it's because you and I have a good relationship and you trust me.
I trust you.
And I think that speaks to your relationship with your teammates. You are able to talk with certain teammates a certain way because you have a deeper level of trust with them. And finding those levels of trust, I feel like, is the key to being a solid leader.
Yeah, for sure. And I think earning respect is a big thing too. Like, it's hard for me to not like get frustrated at someone if they haven't quite earned my respect yet, and like they're being stupid on the field. But also, I'm aware that I need to earn people's respect. Like, I'm not just even going into senior year. Like, there's new guys on the team. Like, my mindset was still like, yeah, I'm a senior. Yeah, whatever I've done doesn't really matter now. It's a new year completely. Like, I still have to do it all again, and like that means earning the respect of my teammates again. And I mean, it goes both ways. But
so when you say earning respect, how, like, just so people have an understanding, how do you earn people's respect, and how would you expect them to earn yours?
I think just working hard, no matter what, is like huge. Because if you like, I have plenty of guys I've played with who aren't the best, but I know when they come on the field, like they're gonna put it all on the field.
Yeah.
And like I think that's the most respectable, and like partially knowing your place to an extent. I think you should always be very confident in yourself, but I think you should also be somewhat realistic.
You need to understand
like,
what your role is on the team.
Like there's things that some people just cannot do. Like there's things that I can't do. Like there's things Tito does when he's defending that I'm like, dang, I can never do that. But I'm sure there's things that I do that people are like, I can't do that. So I think you need to know your place, but be as confident in your abilities as you can be.
Yeah.
And obviously, like I said, work as hard as you can. And yeah, if you're someone who everyone knows will die for you on the field, that's just, then you've made it in the respect factor, I feel like. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. So we've talked about, I want to get a little bit deeper into your mentality because, and I know for you, it's pretty straightforward. It's work hard, put your head down.
Yeah.
And you got to grind on and off the field. You got to take care of business in the classroom. You know, academics are super important. If you don't take care of that, you can't play. And I think part of being a leader is demonstrating accountability and taking care of the business that you need to handle so that everybody else can see it, and to do it quietly. I think there are a lot of people that think being a leader means to be the loud one, to always be, but I can speak to your character in that sense as a player. You show up every day and you just work. If there's a drill where it requires effort, like no one's putting in more than you. And I know for me, when I'm watching, it's obvious to me. So when I know when other people are seeing it, when other players are seeing it, they're like, man, Trent's the best player out here, and he's outworking everybody. Like, that is the reality of what it takes to be a leader.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in, like, you said senior year was by far, like, the least pressure you felt?
Yeah.
Why?
I just felt like I kind of shifted the focus off of other people's opinions. And, like, obviously there's people who say things to me that I care about, and I take it into account, like you, my parents, and certain teammates and stuff. But I feel like you can't think about every game how it's going to be perceived. Like I need to score 3 goals this game so that people think I did a good job. Like, for example, just like junior year, playing Cass Stake or something, I'd be like, if I don't score 2 goals, I'm a failure. But it's like, that's stupid. Like, end of the day, you just need to win the game.
Right.
Like, and do the best you can, work as hard as you can. Like, sometimes it's just not your day. Like, I mean, you can't really accept that. That's a stupid mentality. But I think just shifting the focus off of other people's opinions, and like I said, putting pressure on yourself kind of helps with that. So just thinking about taking it one game at a time. Excuse me.
It's okay.
Okay, well, now I'm flustered.
It's okay.
Yeah,
one game at a
stop
time.
there.
I got you. No, you're fine. So you take that mentality and you move it forward. And actually, I think the way you talk about it is it's shifted over time, where it used to be focusing on, like, I have to achieve certain personal accolades, or I have to achieve certain things per game. And you still have those things. You still want to do well.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's more about in what ways can I best contribute to the team?
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes it's not even via scoring a goal. It's not even on the field. It's making sure that other guys feel supported. It's making sure that, they are playing confident in certain situations, and that you're leading them in a way where they're willing to follow you and they're willing to die for you.
Yeah.
And, like, I think being a leader is a difficult thing that people go at in different ways. I know plenty of people who've been captains or leaders, and they're all different.
Yeah.
And they all, I would do it differently than other people. But I'm interested, now you're moving to college, and I think the way we've talked about your game, people listening would expect you to be going to a very, like, prestigious, high-level program. And it's not that you're not, but you've chosen to play for your father, who he was also your club coach. And I think a lot of people who had been in your position, who they've played for their dad for a really long time, might be like, okay, now it's time for me to go and do my own thing. Or especially a player of your caliber, I'm sure you had opportunities or were talking to coaches who were interested in you. But I would like to know why you made the decision to go to Masters and to play for your dad. And also knowing that you're going into a program where you're probably, like, arguably one of the best players in the program's history walking in. And the expectations that puts on you and the pressure that it puts on you, even though I know you're better at handling pressure now, it's a different level, it's a different expectation.
For sure.
And even though some might see it as, like, a lower level college team, it's really not.
Yeah.
And the expectations for you are going to be higher than ever
from
everyone else. Your expectations are always going to be what they are. But the expectations from everyone else are going to be very high, considering
I get you.
they think that you're a really great player and that you could have played at a higher level. And then double down that your dad is the coach.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've definitely thought about that a lot, and, like, I know that the pressure's there, but honestly, the thing that's helped me the most with that is just, like, I kind of think of the pressure as a compliment. Like, if I'm going in with pressure from all these people, it's like, great, that means I've done good in the past. But then I just don't want to take it any further than that. I'll take it as a compliment, so I can look at it, like, in a positive way, and then just try to think,
great.
all right, well, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Like, all that matters is, like, I do need to perform, but that's not for everyone else. That's because I personally want to perform, and I want the team to be the best team in history. Like, that's a bold statement, but that's the goal. Like, I want to win my dad a national championship or national tournament, like, things like that.
I was going to ask you why you wanted to play for him, but
he's been there for 32 years, I think, and I trust him most as a coach. I mean, it's biased, he's my dad, but I don't know. I just want to not do it for him. Obviously, I do want to do it for him, but it's not strictly that. Like, obviously, I'm there for myself too.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be pretty cool if I could play a part in making his career that much more successful. So
pretty nice thank you to a guy who's dedicated a lot of his life to coaching you up.
Exactly.
And so, Masters is where you're headed. The expectation, and I think this is another thing where it's like a player of your caliber. The expectation is they're going to build the program around you. And I think a player of your level probably wouldn't be going to the school if not your dad being the coach. Yeah. So you've already stated, like, I set high goals for myself.
Yeah.
Freshman of the year or player of the year or winning a national championship. Have you talked to your dad about any of these things? Like, does he know that this is what you want?
Yeah, I've talked to him. I mean, sometimes it's just a joke. Like, I mean, it's not a joke, but I'll be like,
you say it lightheartedly.
I'll just say like I hope you know when I'm there, we're winning you a national tournament, stuff like that. But I mean, not necessarily. I mean, I've always tried to stay like humble about that stuff. So I feel like talking to him about achievements is just, I don't know. I feel like talking about future achievements is how you can kind of get out of a humble mentality. I feel like it's best to just, you need to think like, I think having a cocky mentality is good, but still showing humble side of you and being humble about it. But yeah, anyways.
Balancing cockiness with humility. No, it's good. I mean, you're in an interesting situation that I think there are a lot of people I think who can relate to where you're at, because I think a lot of people, especially in their youth soccer days, play for a parent.
Yeah.
Their parent is a coach, but their parent might not be a coach who's been a college level coach for 30 plus years. So I think your situation is interesting to me because I think a lot of people in your situation would go the other way. Yeah. They'd be like, I play for my dad, I appreciate everything that he did for me, but it's like, it's time for me to go on my own soccer journey.
I think it was the opposite for me. I played for him and I was like, dang, I trust this guy the most. Like, I want to play for him for as long as I can. So I think, I mean, other people definitely can have that, but for me it was the opposite. And I feel like before I ever played for him, I was always looking forward to playing for him. I think that's part of it too. Like, my whole life I've been around the program. Sure. And like, it's kind of, I've had times where I've thought about like maybe trying to push myself harder to see where I go. But I mean, basically my whole life that's been the goal. That's been the goal. But I think him coaching me in club was just like the final like thing. I really do want to play for this guy. Like, he knows what he's doing. It's not just my dad. Yeah. So you respect him as your father and as a coach. And he does a great job of, like, if you came out, you would have no idea I'm his son. Like, zero idea. The only time it's awkward is like, I come over, get water in a game. I'm like, Dad, coach, sorry. That's the only time it's weird. Like, I don't know what to say. But I mean, he does the best job of that. So I want to play for him for as long as I can. That's great, man. I think it's a really beautiful thing to want to be a part of something that he's built, and with the goal of trying to give him something that he's never been able to achieve. Yeah. And I think, honestly, like, as a sports story, like, your son, who was born after you had the program for a substantial amount of time, growing up with the program, wanting to play for the program, then coming in and with his laser focus, trying to bring you a national championship, I think is like it's really cool, man. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It'd be cool if it happened. So yeah, I mean, that's the goal. I believe in you. I mean, you know, I appreciate it. I know. You have my belief. You've been the best at that. Yeah, I try to see the best in everyone, and the kids who come across where I'm like, this kid is different in the best of ways. I always try to take a special interest with kids who need extra help. But I think when people see you and they see what you're able to accomplish, they assume you don't need any help. Yeah. They assume you've got it. They assume, like, oh man, and it's like, no, people like you are the ones who want to do the extra work, who ask me to stick around after practice and just swing crosses. Yeah. And thank you for that. Of course, man. Like, but for me, it's like, it's a compliment to me to be asked, because my goal as a coach is to gain your trust as a player. And so that you feel comfortable talking to me and coming to me with things, and then, listening to me when I have something to say to you, because I feel like I can contribute positively to whatever you're doing. And so a player coming to me and asking me for something is always a really positive for me, because it tells me that they feel comfortable with me,
and they trust me. And I think I think there are players out there a lot, and I'm sure there are people who are going to listen to this who might be reluctant to ask their coach for things beyond what they're already giving them because they might be intimidated or whatever the reason might be. They might think they don't have enough time, but the reality is times that we spent doing extra work or times where we've spent having conversations like I'm not going to remember all the goals you scored.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some where it's like, it's burned into my memory. Like you can't forget that. Yeah. But more than the achievements that you've had and the goals that you've scored, what I remember is the time we spent together.
Yeah.
And
me too.
Yeah, and like that is special to me. It's like I'll always have a relationship with you as a person and as a player. And as you grow up and get older and you move beyond soccer, because I think that's another interesting thing about you is that you don't have any ambitions to play professionally or anything like that.
Might be changing. But
oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
You never know. I mean, we talked before, and you had ambitions to just
be a firefighter,
live a normal life,
get a nice little wife and some kids.
Yeah, and and I think having ambitions to live a nice life is a great thing. But if there's opportunity for you out there, like I think you're built for it more than a lot of people.
Thank you.
And so I appreciate what you've given me as a coach. I think you've made me better as a coach, and it's because you've asked me for things, you've demanded things of me, and I want to make players like you better. And I truly believe that there are a lot of coaches out there, or maybe not even coaches specifically, but whether it be teachers in classrooms with really intelligent kids or kids who don't seem like they need a hand, where you're just like, yeah, they got it. I'm not worried about them. And it's like, for me, I'm looking out for everybody, but when I see a player like yourself, I'm like, this kid's got it all, but take a little bit of extra time with them, and you might find that, man, they were looking for this one extra thing, and you might be able to give it to them. So,
well, thank you for that, because you've been like so good at giving me, like you said, stuff that no one else has even considered. And I think, like you said, some people look at people and think like they have it all handled or whatever. No one does. Like no one ever does. Like there's things you could think that about me playing soccer, but if you watch one game, you're like, he needs to work on this, he needs to work on that, he needs to work on that. Like, that's how I'm thinking all the time. Like, if I get better at this, I'll be so much better. If I get better at this, I'll be so, like, I feel like nobody really does have it all figured out, and you've been so clutch and, like, not even just the soccer side of it, like, you never shy away from asking, like, how I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
And you mean it. Like,
it's
other
important
guys
to
who,
me.
like, actually are just like, hey, how's it going? You're like, no, what's going on? And, like, I know I can talk to you. Like,
well, I'm good at reading people,
Yeah.
and when you're around people enough, when I see you, I can tell, and it's like, and it's different. Like when you're in the game, I can tell when things are going up and when they're down, but it's off the field. I think that is where it requires the most attention to detail, because you can roll up to practice and I'll be like, something's up.
Yeah.
Immediately. Yeah. And it'll be funny. I do this a lot of times to kids where I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, no, nothing, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, check back in 10 minutes because I'm going to ask you again. And it gets to the point of being annoying, but I'm going to continue asking you.
And it works.
Until you tell me what's up. And not in a like an aggressive way. I'm just going to keep checking in. And especially when you're in at a vulnerable moment on the field or whatever, where I can see there's frustration or whatever, and I'll just, pulled you aside and been like, I know this isn't about soccer. Like, what's up? Like, let's just I'm right here. Just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you want to release something, I can tell. Sure. And I think for me, it's gratifying to be able to help kids and to be able to look at somebody like yourself and be like, he probably doesn't need my help, but I'm going to try and help him anyway. Yeah. And knowing that it's meaningful. Like for me being a coach, like I love to win. Yeah. I actually hate to lose more than I love to win. Yeah. I hate losing. Yeah. And I like when we win, and winning championships is great. It's super fun to celebrate, but
winning's like a relief, honestly.
Losing but sucks. Honestly, it's in the moments of loss and pain and frustration where you have the most opportunity to make an impact. And I feel like in the moments where you've been, and not just you, in the moments where you're the most down is the opportunity to get the most close. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Just reminding you, like, it's not everything, man. Like, and I'm here for you, and
And I feel like it helped my game a lot too, just knowing like not only are you a great coach, you're also like a great friend and a great counselor and mentor, like all these things. And like you saw, I don't know, am I allowed to like name drop? If it's
Yeah, absolutely.
There's certain people, like my head coach in high school, who I wouldn't go to. I would go to you on the sideline. Everyone saw that. Like I would choose to go to you because I knew like he's gonna try to say the right thing. Like you're gonna say what I actually need to hear. You're gonna say like even if I might not like it at the time, it's gonna be what sticks with me. And I'm like, if I don't like it then later I'll be like, dang, like Craig's right, and I know like you're the guy I need to go to. So
Well, I try to
having like that. It doesn't build your credentials, but it just continues to build respect and trust. And like I know that like I said, you're gonna give me what I need. And I mean that sounds selfish. Like
No,
also,
it's not.
You're just you're just a great guy.
I appreciate that, man. Honestly, like, I try to be as real as possible with everybody, and it's easy on the soccer field to be real, especially with a player like yourself who understands, like, what your goals are and what you're trying to do, and that if you trust me, like, I'm not trying to say the right thing, I'm trying to say the real thing.
Yeah.
And if I'm telling you, like, you can be like, I'm playing terrible right now. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You are.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean we can't shift the focus.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we can't pivot right here. And so I think it's those relationships that I try to have with players where I want them to know, whether it be on the field, off the field, being as real with them as possible and being honest and letting them see that, yeah, I'm their coach, but also I'm a person and like I have flaws, and I try to tell kids I've been where you are. I've been frustrated. I've failed. I've made the mistake in the big moment. I've cost my team games. I've done the stupid thing. I've gotten the red card when I shouldn't have, and I've cost my team because of it. And so when I speak to those things, I speak from experience. And my hope is that people like yourself and other people that I've interacted with, and I hope a lot of coaches feel this way, that at some point you're going to come across somebody else, whether it be a teammate or a friend or a family member or a kid, somebody in your life where you're going to be like, I could hang around and give a couple extra minutes of time, or do I want to say something? I don't know if I should. It's just like, no, you should say something.
Yeah, for sure.
Just be there for them.
Yeah.
And
because it means a lot.
yeah, and it'll mean a lot to you too as the person who does it. Like it means everything to me to hear those things.
Yeah, for sure.
And building the relationships that I have with the players that I've worked with is the most important thing to me. It's the reason I coach. And so I think it's just, like you said, even with teammates or being a leader, it's all relationship building.
Yeah.
And it's a lot done off the field. It's a lot of time spent just talking and getting to know a person and understanding, like, when can I push your buttons?
Yeah.
When can I not? You know, do you really need to hear the truth right now?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's another thing I brought up before. It's like, do you want me to be nice or do you want the truth?
Yeah.
And the ones who want you to be real are the ones who are going to be the most successful, in my opinion.
For sure. I agree.
So,
100%.
I mean, your career has been really interesting this far. It's amazing. Like, sometimes I have conversations with people and I realize we haven't really had a deep talk in a while. So when I say you don't want to play professionally and you're like, well, maybe not, that's exciting for me because it's a conversation we've had before where I'm like, I was surprised by it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? You don't even want to try? And you're like, yeah, you know, I did my thing and I have my plans, but it's nice to know, hey, I'm just going to kind of let the chips fall where they may and see what happens.
Yeah.
I think that's cool, man.
Yeah. I'm excited. I feel like I've just learned that, like, if you put in the work not knowing what's going to happen at the end, like, I mean, that's how it's going to be all the time, but, like, even if you're unsure, still continuing to put in the work could get you there. And I feel like I've always had the, like, mindset to set my, like, bar super high, try to achieve certain things. So why not think like that past, like, long term after college? So,
well,
I mean,
you never
I'm definitely
know.
playing it by ear, like, whatever happens, but I think so I talked to my brother-in-law. I've talked to him a lot lately, just about, he played basketball. He was legit. He, like, in high school wasn't that good, and then college came, put in so much work. He made it basically his life, and, like, one game he dropped, like, 50-something, broke the college record, which was set by Mike Pemberthy, who played in the NBA. So, like, he was a baller, and he really, like, has helped me lately with mentality and stuff, and he said something that just really helped him to always get better was just not have a plan A. Like his idea was, I'm gonna get to the NBA, blah blah. I mean, he ended up tearing his hip and then his shoulder, so he was out for like a year and a half straight. So his body's wrecked now. But just hearing that, like even how it helped him in the short term, having the idea that there's no plan B. I'm gonna be like, let's say my mentality is I'm gonna play in MLS or I'm gonna play against freaking Neymar, even though he's probably gonna retire 'cause he's freaking fragile, whatever. Having a mentality like that could help me in the short term, even like, because I'll put in extra work
You said
to
it.
get there.
Yeah.
And then he also said something. This was huge. If you're so focused on the next level and like how you need to get here with your playing level, then this like wherever you are now, college, even if you're D1 or something, it won't even bother you because you're trying to get so much higher. So it's not like I need to get on level with these guys. It's like I need to get on level with these guys. This is just in the process.
Yeah.
Like, who cares about that? So I think that's very helpful instead of just thinking about like I need to be a good NAI player, blah, blah, blah. Like, let me think. I need to be the best MLS player. If I'm the best MLS player, NAI will be light work. Like, things like that.
It's funny you say that because, like, his advice resonates with what you said earlier anyway.
Yeah.
You always set your goal higher than it should be.
Yeah.
You set your goal to the maximum level so that if you fall short, you're still successful. He's doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So no wonder it resonates with you.
Exactly.
It's kind of already your thing. It's just
Yeah,
sometimes
for
it's
sure.
nice to hear it from
Yeah,
somebody
and I feel
else.
like I've never really thought super long-term like that. And I've always just been I don't know. Like, when it comes to that, I've always been a realist. Like, I watch them and I'm like, dang, they're good. Like, sure, I'm okay for freaking Foothill League, but it's different than playing against Lionel Messi. So I think that's always been my mentality. But, I mean, whatever you said Nathan's mentality was, I guess I should think about that. Don't sell yourself short. But
Yeah.
I just think the goal now is just to work as hard as I can, take it 1 year at a time, 1 game at a time. If opportunity arises, it arises.
Yeah, you
If it
just never
doesn't, it
know.
doesn't. But I think just the fact not having a plan B is just huge. I just need to, if I just lock in, make it to MLS or something, then great.
That's great.
And then that'll apply to other stages in life. Like
Sure.
if I fall into a different thing for work, but I have the mentality to be the best, then I could be super beneficial in that sense too. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's great advice in itself, but I like to wrap up every episode with asking my guests to give a piece of advice to somebody who might be listening who's either in a similar situation or might be going through something that you've gone through. So is there something that you'd like to give as a piece of advice out there?
I'd say, obviously, a lot of people say don't let other people's opinions affect you, which is true. But I'd say don't let the future and like your fear of what might happen affect you either. Like, one thing I kind of regret is just not putting in work sooner and not taking like soccer as seriously as I could have. And I don't regret it because like it got me where I am now, and I'm super thankful for that. But I mean, part of me will always just be curious, like what could happen. And now it's not too late. I could still do that in college. But
Sure.
I just say don't let the fear of the future affect you at all. Like if you want something, and you put in the work, it very well could happen. But like you can't just want something and not put in the work at the same time. So yeah, don't be afraid and always put in the work, I guess.
It's good, man. It's kind of should be your motto.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you doing
Appreciate
this. Love you, man.
Love you too.
Good job, bro.
I said like it a lot.
Yeah, but me too. Huge thank you once again to our guest, Trent Rickard, our producer, Malin Blade, and all the big dogs listening. Tune into our next episode for more Athletes Unleashed. Later, homies.